morning, ladies and gentlemen, and you'll never get far. The sun has made an appearance. It clearly knows that we are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, LinkedIn. It's too much for David. You can't see him already.
Can you hear me, Nick?
Yeah, can hear you, mate. Can't see you.
You can hear me. The video's playing up. The technology, yet again, always has a little bit of a, causes a few problems. But hopefully that will sort itself and we'll be back to normal in a minute. What an exciting week. Apologies you can't see me. But hopefully... I can
see you now, but you are delayed. You'll be behind the curve. Oh, mate. We did say at the very beginning when we started this show, it's the business show, the breakfast show where anything can happen. And we're proving that today. I think we'll be up against it, but no problem. No problem. We've got a very exciting show today, a very sporty, very international and sunny day. And absolutely thrilled that we're going live on LinkedIn. We're already getting some feedback from the lovely people on LinkedIn. Hi, Michaela. Intrigued to see what's going on. Quite right too, Michaela, as you should be. It's going to be amazing. Always is amazing. Always lots to talk about. Always lots to share. And the beauty of this breakfast show is that we have lovely guests who really know their stuff, and they're happy to share their experience, their knowledge, and just the magic that is a business. So can you still hear us, David? Are you still there?
I can hear you, and I'm watching everything that's happening, but unfortunately it just looks like my video is lagging behind. I will get onto that very shortly and see if we can get that sorted. But yeah, look, lots of great comments coming in, Nick. Good morning to Ian Finch. Good morning, Dominic, Tyler. We'll pop some of these up on the screen. Good morning. Have a good show. I plan to join you, but then got reminded I have a dentist appointment. Ask the dentist to switch it on. Get him to turn it on in the dentist. But good morning to you all and welcome, and thanks for joining us this morning.
Absolutely, and thank you, Ian Finch, as well. Look, I get what you're saying, mate. The zombies have interfered with the technology, as they do. Thank you, Ian. Absolutely right. So we'll struggle on, David. I think you're a little bit behind. We see you in kind of Benny Hill fast fashion for a moment, and then you freeze again. And what's great is we don't know what the pose will be like when you freeze. Okay, we have had in the past with the technology's frozen, you've been a bit like this, which is brilliant. That's a show worth catching up on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Nick, we like to always have a look around and see what's happening around the world, and we pick up on a little bit of news, maybe a little bit of tech, what people are thinking, what small business owners and medium and large size enterprises, the challenges that they're facing. But what we do like to pick out, you've got yourself that new calendar that you have at the side of your desk, and every week you pick out what's happening on a Thursday around the world. Now, what is happening in the world today, Nick? Come on.
It's been an eye-opener, mate. I knew there was kind of international days, and occasionally you'd hear, oh, it's international this day, international that day. And it wasn't until I dug out the international day calendar that it kind of really opened my eyes to some very odd international days. So today, ladies and gentlemen, you may not know, but today, oddly enough, is... they call it Bomb Pop Day, all right, which is an American version of a rocket lolly. Right, so you and I know it as a rocket lolly, that lovely three-coloured lolly. It's that day, right? So if you're out and about and the sun's shining, get yourself a rocket lolly. It's also Swim a Lap Day. Get down to your local pool and patronise the local swimming pool and do a lap. David's in a much more fortunate position than we are, because to his swim a lap day, I think he just needs to go through those lovely French doors, and he's in. And it's upcycling day. Now I like this. Upcycling day. In other words, if you've got old stuff, make it into new stuff. It seems to be very fashionable, upcycling. I did indeed do some upcycling myself early on in lockdown 1. Up came the decking. The sun came out, right? The decking was a bit rough. Okay, it's been down there for years. Let's pull the decking up. What can you make with your decking? Let me show you. You can make a lovely bin tidy. Hey!
Very nice. Look at that.
Look at that. Upcycled from a load of old decking. Any upcycling going on where you are, my friend?
Well, we do quite a bit of upcycling here, to be honest. People are pretty green at the best of times. So if I could, maybe next week I can give you a tour around and we can show you some of the things that we've done here with a bit of upcycling to make our outside environment more lovely and kind of comfortable. So yeah, crate chairs, some old crates that were turned into comfy kind of sofas and chill out areas and stuff like that. Yeah, I like a bit of DIY, actually, getting my hands dirty and having a bit of a play.
I think we definitely need an upcycling tour of your little gaff over there. Right? I think upcycling, it's one of those things that you can take into your business. It's slightly quirky, right? But you see, let's say something going on in another industry, and you think that's good, that's great practice. How would that look in my industry? And you see great innovations coming, and it's not I'd call it upcycling. Great innovations over there. How do we bring that into over here? Constantly learning from each other in business, and it's easier to learn from each other if it's a similar business. But there's loads of cool stuff that goes on elsewhere. You think, actually, I'm having that idea, and I'm going to make it my own. Feel free, lovely audience, especially if you've got innovations that you've seen elsewhere in other industries that you think, you know what, let's call that upcycling for business. I'll upcycle that into a little bit of what I've got going on. You're back, David.
Yes, I'm trying to work the technology and see what's going on here, but it seems to be maybe a little bit of internet capacity issue. But I'm going to keep working on it so you get me in full video flow as well as audible. Okay, so Nick, news, travel industry. Today is the big talk later on. What's going to happen? Are we going to be allowed to travel a bit more freely, get away for that holiday, get back without having to isolate? Will we need to be double jabbed, or will the rules relax? I know you had a bit of a delve into this. What have you found out for us, Nick?
Yeah, big day really for the travel industry. They're crying out for a bit of relaxation for the rules. At the moment, most places that you perhaps want to go are on an amber list. And if you're coming back from an amber country, you've got to isolate. You've got to stay at a hotel or isolate with many tests. There is talk that if you've been double jabbed, then you won't have to isolate if you come back from an amber country. The travel industry are crying out for a little bit of relaxation because summer's coming, if it's not already here. And most people, I guess, are looking at it and booking staycations in the UK. Travel industry want you to jump on a plane and go to Torremolinos, of course. It's difficult to know, and the government will having their review today to say yes, no, we're going with the science, we're going with whatever someone else says. It just doesn't seem, what I see of this whole kind of these decisions being made, it doesn't seem to be a level playing field. I know we're going to talk about crowds a bit later, because of course we ought to talk a little bit about the football, but it doesn't seem to be a level playing field. And I guess travel industry, if you're in the travel industry, give us a shout and we'll say hello, how you're finding it. What are you waiting to hear? But yeah, once again, another industry really struggling, just tenterhooks, waiting for the opportunity to kind of get going again.
Good question by Ian Finch. But how do you prove that without your vaccination passport? Because obviously there was the talk about not having to have a passport to travel freely. This is the vaccination passport I think Ian is alluding to, not your country of residence passport. And of course, you're going to have to dig into the NHS app and actually bring that up and show that you have been double vaccinated. So it's going to be challenging, definitely. Are you prepared to do that?
Bit of a rigmarole to get yourself up and running with it's a different app, isn't it? You've got your NHS COVID app, but you also got your NHS app, and that's the one that kind of has your history and will say, yeah, you've been double jabbed. Bit of a rigmarole to get onto that, but I guess if that's the way forward, that's the way forward.
Now, Nick, what I'm going to try and do before we get our first guest onto the show, who's sitting in the green room, I'm just going to do a quick refresh and just see if I can get back here in full 4K motion video as well as audio. So, Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the Euros? I know neither of us are big football fans, but I like to kind of watch and see and keep up to date. But England do make the final 16, and we're at Wembley versus Germany. But some interesting things around COVID that spin off from that.
Absolutely. So I'm really enjoying the Euros. A bit of an armchair supporter, but I love to get behind the team and love to see them do well. Not convincing so far, but watched the games last night. Turns out England play Germany at Wembley next Tuesday. What's not to like about that? But what's been fascinating is you kind of see the scenes, certainly in Hungary. Hello, my friend.
It worked.
See the scenes in Hungary. 60,000 people in the stadium, hardly a mask to be seen. To be honest, hardly a blooming shirt to be seen either. It does raise some questions about if that's going on in Hungary, why are we kind of struggling with minimal, let's say, 30 people capacity? I know the capacity is going up. So when England play Germany on Tuesday, 40,000 people will be in Wembley. It just makes you wonder if that can happen. Then why can't we get on a plane? Or if that can happen, why can't we get into a group of more than 30? It does seem a little bit of one rule for one and one rule for the other, unless, of course, you say it's a test, which sounds like horseshit to me. But it seems to be that's the way to get away with it. Just call it a test.
Called it a test. We're going to monitor it closely and see what the results produce. And, are more people infected, or did we scrape through and just one or two? Don't worry about it.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's really interesting because we talk about schools and stuff like that and children being at school. And if one of those was to show a sign of being positive, then a whole year group or the whole bubble, as it would be called, has to, go home and isolate, etc., and carry out various follow-up tests. But of course, with football, we saw that happen, and one person, went down and showed a positive symptoms, but the rest carried on. So as you say, it's one rule for one and one rule for the other. Interesting. And
I don't understand it, mate. I don't understand it.
Yeah, and interesting. Wimbledon is coming very shortly. Is on the calendar. Lots of tennis tournaments being played, and that's what our next guest is the expert in. Our next expert is a tennis coach, and he's going to talk to us more, not just about tennis coaching, about himself, his journey today, because he's still quite young. And I admire his entrepreneurial journey to date, because, he's working with some of the, the future tennis stars, probably for, hopefully going to be a UK champion, but possibly world champions as well. So let's get our first guest into the studio. Nick, sitting backstage, being listened to us patiently, a little bit delayed, running behind a few minutes due to a few small technical issues, but we're now back to normality. Let's welcome our first guest of this morning, Nils Klermund. Nils Klermund. I knew it was going to happen. Good morning, Neil.
Good morning, Nick. Morning, David.
My apologies. It was
morning, Nick. How are you, my friend?
I'm very, very good. How are you?
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Love it when the sun shines.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, Nils. Great to have you on the show with us this morning. As you've seen, a few little technical hitches. This is the problem when you're broadcasting globally around the world and we're sitting in different locations. But hey ho, we will deal with it. That's the motto of our show. Anything can happen, and it always does. To Nils, tennis coach you are, 22 years old, so still, young. There's going to be a lot of girls watching this going, look at him, he's been a bit fancy. But, a tennis coach and stuff like that. But talk us a little bit through, what got you playing tennis? Because I know you're a keen and, a really good player as well, but coaching has now become your passion.
It has, yes, it has, yes. I got into tennis when I was very young. When I was 4 years old, my dad took me to a tennis court for the first time, and I hit my first tennis ball. And since then, I've been playing for fun, obviously enjoying it myself, and improving every year and improving every week, and just enjoying the fact that tennis is such a difficult and such a fun sport, and there's so much to learn and so much variety to the sport, really. And yeah, over time, I kept on playing and obviously got better. And I've played loads of tournaments. I've traveled loads around. And tennis is a sport where you make a lot of friends. You meet a lot of lovely people, a lot of people who've had a similar journey to you. So you can really sort of have a group of friends where you can play tennis and you can talk about tennis, which is amazing. And I went to Colford from 2017 to 2019. And in my last year, I started doing a bit of coaching here and there, and found out that I actually really, really, really enjoyed giving my knowledge to kids and adults and people who were really, really keen to listen and to enjoy and get better. And I really found that I actually have quite a talent for it, that I have quite a talent for sort of transporting my knowledge from me to whoever's willing to listen. And then since then, I've been mentored by David Hall in my first year, and I was coaching every Saturday and every Wednesday morning. We had a lot of kids. And since then, he's taught me a lot about the sport. He's taught me about how to coach and how to teach different age groups and different levels. And it's been a really amazing journey. And now, 3 years in, I've coached 4 or 5 of the top kids in the UK, under 12s. I've won 25 tournaments with them. And I'm now getting a wider clientele, if you will. So I'm coaching adults now and coaching loads of different levels, different people. Some people who just want to play tennis after work. And some people who really... As I said, I've got this young kid who's an amazing talent and who's just so fascinated by the sport. And it's an absolute joy to be coaching him. So that's what we are at the moment.
This is so cool, right? So cool. I know very little about tennis, but I know quite a bit about sharing knowledge and experience and coaching and motivating. It's interesting. It's a small industry, like most industries, I guess, pretty small. You get to know who's who. It's like kind of an extended family. That's very cool, mate. And clearly loving it. Yeah. Why wouldn't you love something? It's been doing it from 4 years old. You love it, and now it's your business. Amazing.
Exactly. It's been an amazing journey so far.
So Nils, you're talking about working with young under 12s, and there's a couple in particular. But what's the opportunity here for these? I mean, these are at this point they're very you can influence and mold them and get them to be fantastic at what they do. Obviously, there's an element of talent and skill has to be there existing, or could you teach anybody to play tennis and pick up a racket and hit a ball around, or do you have to have some skills there beforehand?
Everybody can pick up a racket. That's what my motto. That's what I try and teach. I try and teach that being a professional tennis player is not a priority. It is a privilege and a luxury for certain players. But at the end of the day, tennis is just like going to the pub and grabbing a beer. Tennis can be fun like that. Tennis can be an environment where you play doubles with friends, or you have a little beer, or you enjoy a beer at half time. And tennis is seen by so many as a sport where you have to go professional or it's not worth playing. And I don't agree. Myself, I've had so many lovely tennis sessions where we went into the sun and played an hour and a half game and had absolutely loads of fun. And the tennis skills themselves only came into play when really needed. But apart from that, tennis is just like football and hockey and all the other sports that are practiced in the country. just a sport where you can enjoy yourselves. And if you listen to Andy Murray and all the top players in the country, they will say the same. Tennis is supposed to be just a joyful sport. There's so much fun involved, and if you play doubles or if you play in teams, there's such a good camaraderie and such a good environment. To your question, David, when these kids have been training since the age of 4, 5, since I've been training, and they've been training non-stop, they work really, really, really hard, and it actually limits their childhood to a certain way because they are sacrificing so much to be a professional tennis player. They're already eating the way you should as a tennis player. They work already. They do about 50% of what a professional tennis player does every day, plus school, plus seeing their friends. So it is quite busy for them, but obviously it's amazing because they get the chance to go, right, I'm going to try and go professional, which is not something that everybody can do because you need talent. You need to have the right people behind you. You need to have the money as well, because sadly that is an issue just as in every domain in the world. If you want to do something, you need to have the financial support behind you. And luckily I've been with parents who are just so supportive of their kids and who just want them to do well. And if they have the opportunity and the means, then by all means, they employ me as a coach, and we travel around the country, and they make sure that their kids are getting better every week and that they get the right sort of tactical, technical, and physical support, because in tennis there's not just hitting the ball, but there is also this aspect where you have to be an incredible athlete as well, just like in any other sport. So it's a mixture of a lot of things really that can bring you on your journey to become one of the best players in the world.
I'm fascinated, Nils. I can see certain parts of this I understand more than others, right? So you coach the technical side, right? This is how tennis should be played. These are the skills that you need. The physical side, which I guess is massively based on fitness and nutrition, but you also coach the mental aspects of tennis. Now, coaching a 12-year-old, maybe younger, on the mental aspects of any sport sounds like a challenge. Is that the biggest challenge? How do you do that?
Oh, it is very, very, very difficult. They are very easily influenceable, but at the same time, they do not want to be treated as kids. And at that age, when you want to be professional, I had this little kid who I coach, who's a lovely, lovely kid, who came to me. He just turned 10. He said to me, "When I'm older, when I play at Wimbledon, I want you to be in the stands watching me." I mean, it doesn't get any sweeter than that. He's the loveliest kid as well. So people think just because you want to become professional, you're not a very nice guy. You're just driven and forwards. But what I try and teach as well, and the mental aspect is not just you have to be strong in a match, but it's also being humble and being nice and shaking your hand with your opponent and not cheating in a match. And I think there's so much, you can see so much, so not just in a tennis player, but in an athlete, what he's about and what his life has been about, and if he has principles or not. And I try and instill these principles in my kids and just tell them that it doesn't matter how good you get. It doesn't matter how unbelievable you are. Don't forget from where you come from, number one. Number two, always be humble and nice, because it doesn't cost anything, and you're not Superman. You are a player, a tennis. You are a human, just like everybody else who has to work and who has to enjoy your job. And luckily enough, it gets to be with what you love doing. But also just the fact that there is the mental aspect of tennis, which is that when you are behind or when you're in front, your mind can start playing tricks and can start going, well, but that's fine. If you're leading 6-1, 5-1, that's fine. You've got the match. That's fine. I can relax a little bit. And that's where I come into play and teach them, well, you know what? Let's finish this match. Let's work harder. Let's make sure that we finish this, so that then afterwards you can go focus on whatever you want to go focus on. And it's the same way if they're losing. If they are losing, you get a lot of fits. The fits I've had to deal with and sort of conundrums where they're not happy and the racket flies, poor racket, or they end up crying and screaming. And so that's when you have to deal with that in a way that, because you have everybody watching you, in a way that is satisfactory and that makes them feel, you know what, I am worth this and I can keep going. So it is a very, to answer your question, it's not an easy task, but I'm learning every day with the job. So I'm quite happy.
Yeah, amazing. So go back to this young boy, 10 years old, when you spoke to him and he said, look, I want you to watch me when I'm at Wimbledon playing tennis. I assume reasonably talented at that age anyway. And we haven't mentioned who this individual is by name or anything like that. But do you look at someone at that age and go, do you know what? Yeah, 16, 17 years old, you could be playing at an international level, and Wimbledon is absolutely an opportunity for you if you keep pushing yourself, motivating yourself, and surrounding yourself with the right people.
Absolutely. At that age, you start to it starts so early, really, David. It's a very long journey, and sadly, there are a lot of obstacles. Not sadly, actually, good, because tennis being an athlete is all about challenges. And well, literally, I mean, it will depend. There are a lot of things that come into play, and for me, the biggest barrier, which I've seen, I have a lot of friends who are unbelievable tennis players and just really lovely people, but just unbelievable athletes, and who have not made it just because when you are 16, 17, 18, it's, do you practice every day after school? Do you go home? Do you go running? Do you go to bed on time? Would you rather have a couple of beers with your friends, or go out with your girlfriend, or go out on a Saturday and Sunday, as every young kid or every teenager wants in the UK? So it's not an easy journey at all. And I have told my kid that well, even though he is very young, he needs to understand. And one of the things that comes into the mental side again is they want to be treated not as children, but as young adults. And I treat him exactly as such, which means if he's doing something well, I will go, well done. That is amazing. But also, if he's not doing something well, if there's something that's not being done properly or just being done quite lazily, I will also start not losing my temper, but I will explain to him very clearly that if he wants to make it, he needs to respect the guidelines and work hard. So I think he can make it in terms of, he's got the talent. He's got the financial support, more than enough of money. They have that. So they're very blessed and very lucky to have that. And he's got two lovely parents who support him every day and who just love him for the journey that he's making right now. And he's got the right institution following him. He's got the right team. The real question now is, will the passion of tennis live on long enough to be able for him to sort of go there? But I really hope, and I really wish him the best. If we do pass sometime, I really hope that he does make it, because he's an incredible talent, and I've been very, very lucky to have worked with him.
We'll have to get him on the show, Nick, when he becomes a flat standard, when he's playing at Wimbledon. Nils can bring him back, and we can get to meet this young man in the making as he starts to win, because he's winning tournaments as well, isn't he? He's already playing at a good level.
He is. He's ranked like top 6 in the world, the top 6 in the UK now. He was in the national finals, and the national finals is the best 20 players in the UK. And then after the national finals, to show you how hard it is, if you win that, you don't even win the whole thing. If you win national finals, you go into the nationals finals, which is the last 6 kids in the UK. Sadly, then he didn't get too far, but it already put him in the top 6 in the UK, which is an amazing achievement. And I have told him that multiple times, that he needs to be proud of that and accept that and embrace that, and not brag, but just go in his head like, this is an amazing achievement. And he is lucky enough to have an incredible family who support him and who've really done well with him. So I'm really, for me, that is just amazing to see that development. And even if I hope he makes it, but if he doesn't make it, it is more about the journey rather than the outcome. It's a journey where you go, wow, I've actually had the chance to travel around the world and do the thing I love for so years. So it's just an experience I can embrace and I will never ever forget. So it's a win-win.
Really cool. There's a lot of similarities, oddly enough, with I hopefully with a lot of business owners out there that think, yep, I get that sacrifice, I get that the amount of work and dedication, and I didn't go out with my friends because I had to crack on with that proposal. And those people that kind of give and give and give, and hopefully we bear the fruits of those labors. We can all kind of point to it and go, if it wasn't for that hard work, we wouldn't have achieved this. Same thing in tennis. Hard work, dedication, sacrifice, hopefully pays off.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Nick. I completely agree. I mean, I think it's in everything you do, and I live obviously in the world of sports. I mean, I have been in sports all my life, not just tennis, but a lot of sports. Because my dad used to be a professional handballer, so I've done every sport imaginable. And I think it's the same in everything. I mean, my father worked very hard as well. He's still a businessman, and it was the same. I mean, I've had the amount of times I've been at home, and he had a chance to go out with his friends and have just a nice time, and he just rejected that and just kept on working hard. So I think it is, whatever you do, really, if you work hard and if you fight and if you sacrifice and if you give everything, then at least if you don't make it, you can still go, right, I've done everything humanly possible to make it. But for me, if I don't do something properly, or if it's something I enjoy and I don't do it properly and I haven't succeeded, it's very difficult for me to go, right, I tried my best. So it's better to just try again, especially in tennis, something I love and something that has been my life for over almost 20 years now, or about 18 to 20 years. And it's just when you go out there, I think it's just basically, I think for the same for you, Nick and David, business is what you love. You know, it's something that you live with. It's not just something that you do every day, but it's something that you embrace, and something that you are, that it's part of you. And I think tennis is the same thing. I mean, you see so many professional athletes who don't do what they do, and you think, and a lot of people think, well, just he's not doing it. He's earned about 20, 30 million. He's set up for life. And then you see them not doing it. And there's so many athletes who are literally missing it. That's all they do in their entire life. That's what they love. And so you actually realize, and it makes people realize in the world as well, people who work hard every day, who just have obviously normal jobs, and who just go, well, he's a professional athlete, he can do whatever he wants. And it's good for me to see that there are so many, especially tennis players, where you go, no, he's not. He's injured, and he's fighting every single day, doing about 6-7 hours of rehabilitation and doing everything properly to make sure he gets back on tour, because that is what they live for. So that's for me, that is very interesting perspective on the sport, a different angle, so to speak.
Yeah, excellent. I've gone back to my Frozen days. Things are not kind of flowing as well as they should be. So apologies if you're sitting there watching the show, whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. Yes, I'm not sitting still. It's the video stream that's kind of frozen up a little bit. Nils, look, firstly, one last question before we have to say goodbye to you. What's next for Nils Klermund? What do you see the future looking like, be it coaching, playing, tennis? What's around the corner for you in the coming months or years?
So for the next 4 or 5 months, I am building a clientele. So I have now about 12 clients, and I have 3 more on the way. So I've got 3 dinners planned in the next week and a half. I'm going to dinner with them and speak to them what they want to achieve or what they want to get. And after these 6 months, I have applied for 2 big academies. So we'll talk about the top 5 academies in the world, one in South Africa and one in the south of France, where you've got all the best players in the world training, young and a bit older, so the professional, the senior, and the younger guys who are 18, 19. And at the same time, I have a proposal for the first time of a sponsorship to go professional myself. So there are 3 options on the table at the moment, and I'm contemplating them while working hard and keeping up my coaching, because just same as everything else, you need to be practiced every day or every second day to make sure you keep the practice and you get better every day and you evolve as a coach, which is important. So while contemplating these 3 options and thinking very hard and researching and looking what would be best for me, I am currently coaching quite a lot, and I've got some tournaments coming up, and we recently became regional Suffolk champions, so that was quite a nice achievement for me. I'm quite happy with that. And we'll see where the future leads. But those are the options on the table right now.
Fantastic. Nils Klermund, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been a pleasure having you on there. We will catch up very soon and have more discussions and get you back on the show with some of your budding famous tennis stars of the future as well. Thank you very much, Nils.
Thank you very much for having me, David and Nick. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've been absolutely delighted, and I wish you a lovely morning.
You too.
Thanks, Nils.
Thank you very much.
Well, Nick, there we go. That's our first guest in the hot seat. Great to hear, the future tennis stars are coming through with great coaching and training. But as you say, it is very like business, isn't it? An athlete and a business person are very similar. They have to get their mindset correct. They have to practice. They have to build experience and knowledge and skills, and having people around you, surrounding yourself with the right people, be it a coach, be it an advisor, be it people that can support you on the journey is so important. If you're an athlete, if you're a business owner or someone that wants to do and succeed at something, that's what you've got to do to make it work.
Absolutely right. Business is our tennis, mate, as it turns out. Or let's say the chat show is our Wimbledon. Every Thursday morning, all right? We turn up. We've practiced. It doesn't always go according to plan, but we've got the mindset to carry us through. Very cool. There are some 3 very, very cool options that Nils is contemplating right now. I look forward to hearing which option he goes for. I don't envy his choice because they all sound amazing. Hopefully, business owners out there, you have similar 3 big choices to make. Be great, wouldn't it? To sit back and go, right, today I got to decide between becoming professional, getting more coaching clients, or joining an amazing academy in the south of France. Wow,
Yeah.
very
Sounds
cool.
lovely, doesn't it? Absolutely. Of course, we all have those choices. It's just what choice we decide to make individually, and that's the important thing. We all have choices in our life. It's the path that we decide to take will, kind of develop and structure our future as we move forwards. Nick, we're still, well, from my point of view, still seeing a few little technical gremlins, glitches, I have these. I look at my screen and all of a sudden I look like I'm doing something very strange and weird, quite interesting. I will try and give the computer a bit of a reboot and see what's going on, but I think it's all about connectivity, which is stemming me from working as well as I should. But I want to pick up on something last week when we had Sarah Brockwell on the show, and we were talking about the full English breakfast. And Sarah did a poll on LinkedIn and got a large response of people. And I said to Sarah, let's have the facts and the figures. I want to know what the answer is. And the question was, full English breakfast, would you have it with black pudding or not? And that was the question. And we have the results. So the results are really, really interesting. Quite a large number of people voted. And should we have a look what happened? Let's have a look. So here's the results. Black pudding in a full English breakfast, yes or no? And 52% of people like black pudding. I think that's this is like the Brexit vote. Look at that, 48%. What do you think to that, Nick?
May I tell you, this is too surreal. It's as though you want to hold a slightly iffy vote. The answer is going to be 52-48. All right, before you even start, get ready for a 52-48. All right, how can that be? Black pudding? Come on, man. But imagine that, right? Right, we've had a vote. Okay, we're a democracy. We've had a vote. Nick, get black pudding down your neck from here on. Imagine. Now, I wasn't happy with previous votes, let alone this one. Imagine if we'd voted and now I've got to eat black pudding. Woohoo! Jeez, that's going to be hard to swallow, quite literally.
Ian Finch says, black pud, yes, please. Ian, I haven't forgotten something you taught me a couple of weeks ago. When we go across the channel, we go on a ship, not a boat. I got told off for calling it a boat because a boat can be a submarine. So Ian put me straight, and rightfully so. It's something now, Ian, I've taken in, and I will not. And I'm teaching other people as well the difference. There you go. And good morning to Donna Franklin, also joined us on the show last week. Good to have you back listening, Donna. Fantastic, great show last week. Okay, Nick. Well, we are kind of we're over halfway through the show already this morning. Time is flying.
Oh, lost you now, mate. Lost your audio, and your video is frozen. This is why, mate. Am I back? Just for me. It's me. It's probably me, mate, hitting the mute David button. Right. Anyway, while you're sorting out your technical issues, as the show is flying along, let's get our next guest on. Very excited about our next guest. Carrying on this sporty theme, I want to talk about to our next guest a little bit about sport, even though that's not kind of the main driver. So, ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourself, right, for our next guest. It is James O'Rourke.
Good morning, gentlemen.
James.
Morning.
How are you, sir? Are you all right?
I'm good, thanks. And is it the Nick and David show, or are we now calling it the Nick and Elsa show, seeing as he keeps freezing so much? Do the frozen pun. Sorry.
Let it go. Excellent. Well, hopefully he can press the right buttons, because we need you on the big screen, James. How are you? How are things? How is business? How is your world looking?
Good. My world might look a little bit grotty, actually, because I've got my office background rather than my virtual background, which I'm used to on Zoom. So apologies if I'm scaring all the audience. Yeah, very good, thank you. Weather's picked up a bit, so can't complain about that. And business is going great, and love listening to Nils. I love anyone who does sport, talking about sport, competing in sport. So yeah, that was very enjoyable first part of the show. So thank you for that one.
Absolute pleasure. Tell us a bit about you, sir. Tell us about you, your journey, and Peterborough WorkSpace. I've got lots of questions for you, but yeah, just give us a brief. Let the audience know who on earth is James.
So myself, I spent just under 20 years working for local newspapers, actually. Did a bit of a tour around some of those, working in marketing, sales, and circulation departments. Probably kind of harbored some desire at some point to be an MD of a newspaper company, but wasn't to be. And got offered an opportunity to kind of gather all those skills together and throw them out to helping small businesses in this place called WorkSpace. And it kind of really appealed to me. I'd always kind of been I don't know if it's frustrated entrepreneur. An intrapreneur is the word, isn't it? You dabble within a business. So it's kind of the perfect fit for me. So been here now 5 years. It's been going since 91. It's basically an enterprise hub for local people, anyone who's got an idea for a business, where they can come in and try and make that business grow. And we help them as much as we can. And I quite often tell them fairly early on in their journey that actually I don't want them. I don't want them here. I want them to kind of move out and move into their own premises and be successful. But it's an amazing place, huge range of businesses. Not many sporting businesses yet. I might have to change that, but it's a fun place to be, definitely.
Definite massive diversity. I was having a look at some of the businesses in the Peterborough WorkSpace over the years. So this is a not-for-profit. I've got an idea. I need some space, and Peterborough WorkSpace is kind of like a bit of a commercial style property for me to use while I grow my business.
Yeah, that's it. It was obviously a genius idea when they set it up. They basically took a warehouse and subdivided it into all these little units. It's all on one floor, so it's great for moving things around. So as a result of that, you get that range of businesses that you maybe wouldn't get in a serviced office environment. You have a massive diversity of businesses, and we let them have that space, and they kind of do what they want. They can literally do what they want. They can access support through me and my network, or they can close their door, get on with their business, and do what they need to do. It's very much a light touch. There's no incubator program. It's not a start and finish. In our head, we'd like people to be here maybe no more than 3 years. But I've got 2 businesses that have been here since 1994. I'll let you guys do the maths. Quite a while. And then they've not any desire to leave, I think. So we kind of have to balance growing businesses with commercial reality. So we have that blend.
Are you with us, David?
I'm kind of here, here 1 minute, gone the next. But I am here. Apologies, James. I've got so many questions like Nick, and I'm kind of sitting here and thinking, will I get the answers? Will we hear the question? James, we kind of met virtually back last year through some virtual online networking groups. We're joined the dots up at the Federation of Small Businesses, which I'm the regional chair for the East of England. You come along to some of the events. You've been very supportive. You're an FSP member, along with obviously the Peterborough WorkSpace as well. And it really does kind of work really well, because obviously you're helping and supporting small businesses, the same as the FSP are as well. What's been your biggest challenges kind of through the pandemic stages? With the small businesses, what are you hearing from them, kind of, without going to any particular stories or details about individuals, but share as you please? Are they finding it tough? For some having to pivot? Are they coping with it well? What are the challenges you're hearing and seeing, if any?
Generally, so we have a couple of businesses that had to follow government guidelines and had to close. That was end of conversation. There was no debate about it. They had to shut the door and couldn't come back. We continued to keep in touch with them though. So we were in constant electronic communication and email and Zooming them, and trying to make sure that they knew where they could go to look at new ideas, to as you say, to pivot, or to think of what they're going to do when they come back and grow and be successful. So those guys, they kind of had to deal with it that way. Most of the other businesses here, I'll be I'll be honest with you, have been very fortunate. They've been very busy, and they've been able to use this horrible situation that we're in to their advantage as a business, and have grown, and been very successful. We've had businesses move out into their own premises in this time as well, because they just got too big for us, and we've been busy. We have been busy with inquiries and new tenants coming in, and we're actually full. So in my little world, I know there are so many businesses out there that are suffering, but in my little world, in the little play pit I get to play in, it's been a positive time, if that's the right word to use at the moment.
I did read recently that there's more millionaires than ever been made during the pandemic. And I think one thing I admire about business is its ability to just keep going, to reinvent itself, or to just kind of find a new way. Some businesses don't have that opportunity. I own an events business, half of an events business, and without the industry, there are no events. But most businesses have found an alternative route. And it's great that you're there to support them. Because I understand that the support isn't just premises, is it? There is additional support that you offer startups.
Yeah. So we, when you start up a business, there's so many things that you don't know. And it's the known knowns and the unknown knowns, and whatever the Rumsfeld quote is about those things. And so we operate an open door policy here, which I'm hoping doesn't happen while we're talking. As you can see, a door behind me. So the guys will come in here and we'll talk a lot about their business and what they're doing. And inevitably I'm able to signpost them to other people, to other resources through my network, going online to the Zoom meetings and meeting some amazing people and being able to put them together. Most of the time I walk around with a cup of coffee and have a chat with them, and in the process of doing that we talk about their issues and problems. So some of the amazing things of what we are able to do is when you talk to them, I'm able to kind of go, why don't you kind of walk 3 doors down and knock on the door and have a chat with those guys, because actually they're doing some amazing things that might help you. And all of a sudden I'll go back later and find out they're doing this little bit of a collab together, and they've got some new products going out. And I feel like I'm just like an unofficial dating agency, whether it's within WorkSpace or outside. So yeah, but it's so much fun, so much fun.
Yeah. James, at the beginning of the show, when you come on, you obviously were listening to Nils, and you're talking about sport. Does that mean you're a sporting individual? Are you following the Euros? Are you into tennis? What's your dabble? What do you like to get involved
He's a
with?
great British athlete, David.
Not now. Not once. I've got too many grey hairs to be an athlete. No, I've been brought up in a very, very sporting family, and travelled around the UK, and then as I got older, travelled around the world doing sport. And I love sport. And Nick, you're right. The similarities between sport and business are very similar. Sport can be much more brutal, I must admit. It does spit a lot of people out. But so as a very young boy, I used to box. Actually, I used to enjoy boxing immensely, and enjoyed that. But then also dabbled with athletics, and got into a sport that if we had a quiz section here, I would hazard a guess that no one will ever get the actual sport that I participated in. But I actually used to be a race walker.
Right. Okay.
Which in Spain, by the way, is and in parts of Europe hugely popular. There are some hugely successful people doing that, I followed in my brothers and sisters' footsteps. Forgive the pun, but had to be better than them. I had that goal in front of me that I had to beat them. So I was fortunate enough to represent Great Britain. And went to a world level events. Never got to the Olympics. Would love to have gone, but yeah, unfortunately didn't make that. And yet following the Euros right now. So yeah, I love sport. Two snails racing. Yeah, I'll be there watching it.
A race walker. No, I'm loving this, James. Give us a bit of a perception. Okay, so I'm imagining race walking. You're nipping along, right? So for us, normal humans, right? You're going at quite a lick. How quick? If you're race walking, can you do your 5K park run?
Sure. Okay. So 5K is not an international level for race walking. It only really kicks in at 20 kilometers, so just under half marathon, 12 and a half miles. A 5K. So if I talk about a 20-kilometer race, a 5K athlete, race walker, the elite guys will go through 5K under 20 minutes, 4 times.
Wow. That means they're finishing before me. Right? I can't catch the walkers.
Oh, do you know what, Nick? I had a little look. I did have to check. So I know you took part in that ultra, the Suffolk Backyard, which I would love to speak to you about more. I'm interested in that. So the 100-mile world record for race walking, I think. No, sorry, in a 24-hour race, that's it. My dad's done a 24-hour race walking race, did 135 miles is the world record. 135 miles in 24 hours race walking. So you still have to follow the rules.
That's not walking.
Yeah, how did you find the difference between walking and kind of, well, let's jog up, let's get a little bit quicker, let's just run, but we make out we're walking?
It is completely different.
Or at different times, or how do you find the difference?
It is a completely different biometric process. It isn't run and then you walk, or walk and then you run. Obviously, most people in the UK kind of look at it rather peculiarly because it has a peculiar technique. But basically, the rules are you must have at least 1 foot in contact with the ground at all time, which is a controversial one. And normally, when the leg that's on the ground, when it's got to be locked. The knee has to be straight when it's in the vertical position. Otherwise, you get that kind of peculiar jogging style. But it is very different. It is very hard, it's a lot of hard work. Like anything, like business, like sport. If you want to exceed at something, you have to put in the hours and do lots of different things. Yeah, like Nils, you'll be doing gym work, you'll be doing psychological, mental side of things, diet, everything plays a part in it.
It's interesting because some sports I just don't get, and race walking, I'm kind of stick my head. So it's a bit like I love to ski. Okay, I'm a downhill skier, and I love that. I go up on a lift and I ski down. I have great, immense fun. Then I look off to my left or right and I see the people kind of, snowshoeing or cross-country skiing. And I go, why? Why put all that hard work and effort in when, you can go up and just come down with gravity? And I'm kind of thinking this a little bit about walking as well. I kind of think, wow, that's a lot of effort, isn't it? Why don't you just get a jog on or run? But I get, different sports have different flavours and different outcomes and stuff like that. But, sometimes I do sit back and have to scratch my head to myself and think,
Totally.
Scratching my head about the black pudding.
Yeah.
I was going to add to that debate and throw in white pudding into the mix, but I think that might just melt the internet if you add that one into it as well.
We're struggling with connection as it is, James.
So, James, what does the future hold for yourself? And obviously, with the Peterborough WorkSpace, where do you see that going? Obviously, it's a great thing supporting innovation, young, budding, and older entrepreneurs as well. People maybe launching their business. We're seeing businesses disappear, but we're seeing lots of new startups come as well. And where do you see your place in that in the future?
So, like Nils, I've got a few things that I'm looking at. Always like to have a few options. The key thing is how to expand it, because we're physical premises. Once you're full, you're full. And so we're exploring a couple of options with regards to that, not just within the realms of Peterborough, but elsewhere around the UK. Also, fairly recently, picking up your point there about startups, I've been working with a local organisation here, and we've launched a startup program here in Peterborough, where anyone, any age, it doesn't matter what point of life you're in when you start a business. We're running a 12-week program that we're looking to carry on for people who've got a business, just started a business, or even just have an idea. One of the people has turned up saying, I really enjoy this particular hobby. How can I turn it into a business?
Yeah.
And we're going through a 12-week program with them all, covering all the basics. And it's an interesting journey, but that will hopefully have a big impact on them and an impact on the economy in Peterborough, and be a positive thing for us.
Yeah,
I'm loving it. I'm just, once again, what a great show. Right? There's so many parallels between every discussion we have. There's something for everybody. Even a discussion about blooming black pudding. But David, you're saying there's certain sports you don't get. I know there's certain businesses I don't get. There's certain things that people do, I think, not for me. But other people seem to love it. That diversity amongst us is it should be celebrated, of course, and it's amazing. It's amazing, and it's great that you're there, James, to support. It doesn't matter what it is. You're there to kind of think, right, well, let's talk about this. Let's hatch a plan.
Yeah, it's and look, it's like with sport, it's passion. It's great fun. I think you spend a lot of time at work. You've got to find some way of enjoying it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And of course, talking about these niche sports, and businesses are the same. And one of the things I'm always talking to businesses about is being niche, being different, standing out from the crowd. Don't do what everyone else is doing. Don't be the sheep and follow the herd. Be different. And that's what speed walking is at the end of the day. That's what cross country skiing's about, isn't it? It's about being in the minority, but being different and being standing out, for being different as well, in a good way. Absolutely. James, it's been great having you here. And also, one day we will get that opportunity to meet face to face, because we're crossing paths quite regularly through various mentoring programs that we are both supporting, and awards and stuff like that. So one day we will be able to shake each other's hand and see each other, across the table, having a coffee and a breakfast or a slice of cake or something like that.
or at the athletics track, and I can get you race walking.
I'll give it a go.
Sounds pretty marvellous, that. I'll be up for that.
Well, there's a couple of things we like to do on this show, and I've challenged Nick a few times. So I'm going to set myself a challenge, and obviously this is now public, so everyone's going to hear. When we can, and I don't know when that will be, firstly when I'm back in the UK and I can get to meet you, James, we'll go to the track, we'll film it, okay, so we can show the audience that we've done it. You can teach me to race walk. I don't know how far I'm going to get. I'm certainly not going to go for any world records of 135 miles or kilometers, whatever it was. I'm going to stick, I'll do a couple of laps, 3.5 laps, 1,500 meters, whatever it is. I'll go for that, a mile.
Sounds like a plan.
We'll have the mile walking race, and then James will have the tee on by the time you and I finish, David.
No, I can't do it anymore. I think, bizarrely, and then I'll stop talking. The world record for the mile was beaten fairly recently in the last year or so by a British lad. So I may well try and get him along.
If you're out there listening to this and you are the mile walker, you're British and you've set the record, give Nick and I a shout. We'd love to get you on the show and find out about how you did it and how you set the record. James, once again, thank you so much for being on the show today. Absolute pleasure to have you join us here. Look forward to catching up with you in the future very soon.
Thank you, guys. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, James. Bye. Well, Nick, tech seems to be okay at the moment. Looks like we've got back to a bit of normality. Hey, what a morning, what a great show, though. Having Nils and James on the show, both sporty types. As you said, it will be a bit of a sporty show. The fun of the Euros, kicking off next week with, the Germany match. Who will be tuning in and watching that? Formula One this weekend as well. So it's quite sporting if you're into tennis and cricket, all this sort of stuff's happening. But I think we've kind of wrapped it up, really. It resembles business pretty much similar. Good coaches, great teams, good people around you.
So many similarities, mate. And it's lovely to be able to have conversations with people that get it. You know, they get business, they get sport, they get kind of what it is to sacrifice and work and motivate. That's what we love. We love that energy, that enthusiasm about all things, business, sport, and everything else. It's been great. What a lovely show. And welcome to the new world of LinkedIn Live. Brilliant.
We got there in the end, Nick. We got there in the end with LinkedIn Live. We sorted the technical gremlins from last week. LinkedIn did put their hand up and say, yes, your account had an issue. We've sorted it now. So we're going to be back every Thursday morning, 8 a.m. Through to 9 a.m. LinkedIn, Facebook Live, and also broadcasting on YouTube as well. But next week, we are starting to transition, Nick. We are moving from Uni. Uni will still be around. Uni was our platform for helping young enterprises and entrepreneurs, and that will still be around. But we're transitioning this show, along with our late night show as well, which will be launching next month, to Chatbox Productions.
Chatbox.
So next week we'll be
Productions, mate. Very excited. I'm excited about everything, but incredibly excited about Chatbox.
Absolutely. So next week, we will have champagne on ice. We will be celebrating the launch of Chatbox Productions. It's going to be a great show. Tune in next week with myself and Nick, Thursday morning from 8 o'clock, British summertime. To all of you watching this, wherever you may be, have a great day, a great weekend, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.